hit record there. And again, I just hit record, so I'm going to go through that again. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here we are. It could be morning where you are, afternoon, evening. I want to thank everyone for logging in, whether you're watching me live now or you're watching on replay. Today's lessons on accurate thought by Napoleon Hill. In his book, The Law of Success, which is the precursor to Think and Grow Rich. This book is much bigger. He actually wrote this book, first. And because he was getting a lot of backlash, a lot of flack from outside sources, he condensed these teachings, his philosophy into Think and Grow Rich. But this is the meat. If you want to get the meat of Napoleon Hill, you get it right here. This is an earlier part in his life. He later changed with his later book. We'll go through some of his later books, like the last book he wrote. We'll go through that one, maybe next. We'll see. Anyway, today is Accurate Thought. And as usual, before I continue with Accurate Thought, we're going to do a quick recap. Right? And our recap goes through our lessons. So let me get through our lessons rather quickly here. So our first lesson, which was not a first lesson, it was setting up the mastermind. I described how to create a mastermind group that's going to work collectively to achieve a goal or an aim for a group. And that group is anybody you want it to be. And that goal or that chief aim can either be a group goal, chief aim, or individual. As long as you've got a mastermind group that you have put together, joined with, to help you develop that chief aim and that goal. You know, kind of like people that you can bounce ideas off of periodically. All right. First, we covered our mastermind, then our definite chief aim. Then we covered our self-confidence. Each lesson basically builds upon the previous lesson. From self-confidence, we covered the habit of saving. From that point, we moved on to initiative and leadership. We then covered the topic of imagination, which was really wonderful. We covered the topic of enthusiasm. So again, be as enthusiastic as you can be about anything that you're trying to promote or encourage others to become involved in. The more enthusiastic you are, the more likely you are to get participation. We went through self-control. We went through the habit of doing more than being paid for. That was a really good topic. We also covered the topic of a pleasing personality. That was last week. And this week we're covering accurate thought. So without any further ado, let me get up here to accurate thought. And before I read my little piece, I'm going to, because we're going to get to Dr. Hill in a minute, but I'm going to tell you, if you can do it, I'm sorry, you can do it if you believe you can. This is true. Believe you can, you're going to accomplish great things in this world, in this life, buddy. Brothers and sisters, I'll put it that way. All right. Let me read a little bit before I turn it over to Dr. Hill. I'm going to say, this is at one and the same time the most important, the most interesting, and most difficult to present lesson of the entire course on the law of success. Now, unless you study this lesson with an open mind, you will miss the keystone to which the arch of this course, that supports the arch of this course. And without that stone, you can never complete your temple of success. That's what we're building now, is a temple of success. All right? You are the temple, and we're trying to make that temple successful. Okay. The lesson will bring you a conception of thought, which will carry you far above the level to which you have risen by the evolutionary processes to which you have been subjected in the past. And for this reason, you should not be disappointed if at first reading you do not fully understand it. Most of us disbelieve that which we cannot fully understand. And it is with knowledge of this human tendency in mind that the author cautions you against closing your mind if you do not grasp all that is in this lesson at the first reading. Okay, so this lesson can be a little kind of, it's kind of I'm not going to say complicated, but there's a way that you change your outlook on the world so as to shape your thinking in terms of not having a closed mind, right? Not You don't just want to accept facts because someone comes to you and says this is this because of. You always want to be questioning. You want to discern whatever somebody presents to you as a fact, because not everything that everyone's going to tell you is going to be true, even though some people will present themselves with this great authority and appear to have, you know. A solid working knowledge of whatever it is they're trying to convince you that they know, but they don't necessarily understand it. Dr. Hill's going to explain a better way to approach accurate thinking. Um, and before I go, so I'm going to turn you over to him right after I read this to you. Accurate thought involves two fundamentals which all who indulge in it must observe. First, to think accurately, you must separate facts from mere information. This is very important. There is much information available to you that is not based upon fact. And a lot of you understand that. You know exactly what I'm talking about because we're flooded with this stuff on the internet every day. And you have to question. I always fact check when I receive some text or somebody sharing some information about something, anything, and it just seems like, well, wow, this just can't be true. This can't be. I'll do a fact check. I recommend everyone go to Snopes.com, Snopes.com. It's a fact checking website. And anytime somebody presents you, or anytime you read something on the internet that you say to yourself, that can't be true, or, I wonder, is this true? Go to Snopes. You can do a fact check. There's other fact checking sites out there, but this is the one I prefer because it's been around for many years and it's very accurate. Okay. Um, Second, you must separate facts into two classes, namely the important and the unimportant, or the relevant and the irrelevant. So, right, with that, all facts which you can use in the attainment of your definite chief aim are important and relevant, right? So whatever fact it is, whatever fact you uncover, or first of all, you want to check that fact and make sure it's accurate. And then if it helps you achieve your definite chief aim, this is what you want to pursue. Now, without any further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Hill so you guys can hear it from the master himself.
The rules of accurate thinking are so clear and simple, but I often wonder why so few people ever take time to learn the rules, since accurate thinking is the very foundation of all successful achievements. In this visit, I shall give you a working description of the rules of accurate thinking, which all successful people follow. First of all, accurate thinking is based on two simple fundamentals. They are called inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning is used when the necessary facts on which to base your thinking are not available. In this case, you act on hypotheses, or what you assume the facts to be. Deductive reasoning is used when you have the facts, or what appear to be the facts, on which to base your thinking. The next step in accurate thinking is to separate facts from fiction, or hearsay evidence, and determine whether you are dealing with hypotheses or real facts. When you are sure you have dependable facts on which to base your thinking, you take the second step by separating these facts into two classes. One is important facts, and the other is unimportant facts. When you do this, you may be surprised at the overwhelmingly greater number of unimportant facts you deal with daily than there are important facts. At this point, you are almost sure to want to ask the question, what is an important fact? And how can I distinguish it from an unimportant fact? And I shall give you the answer to this very important question by saying that an important fact is any fact which will aid you to any extent whatsoever in attaining the object of your major purpose in life. And all other facts, as far as you are concerned, are unimportant, and you should waste no time with them. After this visit is over, you can employ the next hour to a great benefit to yourself if you will set down on paper a list of all the facts you dealt with yesterday, separating them into two classes, important and unimportant. As a matter of fact, you will make a profound discovery regarding accurate thinking if you follow the habit of daily taking inventory of all the facts that claimed your attention during the day, putting them down on paper in two separate columns, one labeled important facts and the other labeled unimportant facts. Now let us turn our attention to the subject of opinions and see to what extent loose, unsound opinions are mistaken for accurate thinking. To start with, let us recognize the truth that most opinions are without value because they are based on bias, prejudice, intolerance, guesswork, hearsay evidence, and out-and-out ignorance. These are harsh words I'm using, and they represent the source of most of the tragedies of life which people meet with unnecessarily. And I would say that of all the tragedies which cause misery and failure, none is more merciless or destructive than those which grow out of the indifference of people who make no attempt to learn how to think accurately. I shall never forget an experience I had with President Woodrow Wilson while I was working for him during World War I. I asked the president what effect he believed World War I would have on civilization, and his reply was brief, but it was a masterpiece which you should remember as long as you live. "I cannot answer your question," said the president, "because I have no facts on which to base an opinion." If you will remember Woodrow Wilson's 15-word speech every time you are about to express an opinion about anything, the chances are that you will soon get out of the habit of expressing or even having opinions not based on something more substantial than biases, prejudices, and emotional feelings, which often serve as fathers to facts. You will learn, if you observe carefully, that the more successful a person is, the less he is inclined to express wild, unjustified opinions about anything. Also, you must have observed already that the drifters who are suffering with frustrations because they recognize they are failures usually have an assortment of opinions on about everything you can imagine. When I hear someone expressing a definite opinion about something of which I have definite reason to believe he knows little or nothing, I think of an experience I had when I stopped a Quaker on the streets of Philadelphia and asked him the time of day. He took out his watch, examined it carefully, and then in a slow, emphatic tone of voice, he said, "Well, sir, according to this alleged timepiece, it appears to be approximately 1 minute and 10 seconds past 12 o'clock." I was particularly impressed by the care with which this Quaker identified the source of his information which he was passing on to me. And I often thought afterward how beneficial it would be if all people who express opinions or give out information would take the time to identify the source from which they were able to speak. I cannot influence all people to engage in this sort of safe thinking, but I can suggest that you give it consideration in connection with this visit on the subject of accurate thinking. Now, I shall give you a simple rule which may help you avoid being misled by unsound opinions expressed by other people. When you hear someone make a statement which your reason cannot accept as being sound, or which you question or should, for safety's sake, question for any reason whatsoever, ask a simple forward question. How do you know? Then stand firm on that question and either force the speaker to identify the source from which he got the information he is endeavoring to pass on as facts, or reject the statement entirely as if it had not been made. And do this no matter who is speaking or what may be his reputation for truth and veracity. Remember, you are given as your richest birthright the privilege of controlling your own thoughts. Therefore, treat this divine gift with the profound respect to which it is entitled, and do not allow anyone to do your thinking for you or to influence your thinking in any manner whatsoever. except by the rules of accurate thinking I am passing on to you. Follow this procedure regardless of what people think or say about your method of thinking. If they wish to call you a cynic or a doubting Thomas, let that be their misfortune. But for your own good, go right on thinking by rules which will save you from many mistakes and tragedies throughout your lives. Now I will give you 7 rules to follow, which, if you memorize them and follow them as a daily habit, may bring you top rating as an accurate thinker. 1. Never accept the opinions of other people as being facts until you have learned the source of those opinions and satisfied yourself of their accuracy. 2. Remember that free advice, no matter from whom it is received, will bear the closest of examination before it is acted upon as safe. And generally speaking, this sort of advice is worth exactly what it costs. 3. Alert yourself immediately when you hear anyone speaking of others in a discourteous or slanderous spirit, because this very fact should put you on notice that what you are hearing is biased, to say the very least about it, and it may be out and out misstatement. 4. In asking others for information, do not disclose to them what you wish the information to be, because most people have the bad habit of trying to please under such circumstances. Well-measured, tactful questions can be of great benefit to you in thinking accurately. 5. Remember that anything which exists anywhere throughout the universe is capable of proof, and where no such proof is available, it is safer to assume nothing exists. 6. One of the great unexplainable miracles consists in the fact that both truth and falsehood, no matter by what means they may be expressed, carry with them a silent, invisible means of identifying themselves as such. Therefore, remember this truth and begin developing the necessary intuitive faculty to enable you to sense what is false and what is true. 7. Follow the habit of asking, how do you know, when anyone makes a statement you cannot identify as true. Follow this habit faithfully, and you will see many persons squirm and turn red in the face when you insist upon a direct reply. The most accurate thinkers are the scientists. They investigate with open minds and never allow their wishes to become the fathers of facts, but deal with each fact as it is, not as they would like it to be. Now, one final word of warning I feel I should leave with you. Study yourself carefully, and you may discover that your own emotions are your greatest handicap in the business of accurate thinking. It is easy for you to believe that which you wish to believe, and unfortunately, that is precisely what most people do. This is a method by which many people condemn themselves to eternal failure and defeat, and it is a method which opens wide that sealed envelope which contains the list of penalties they must pay for neglecting to take possession of their minds and use them for constructive ends beneficial to themselves. And now, until our next visit, may I say goodbye.
And there we have it. Hi. So there we have it. Dr. Hill pretty much summarizes it all for us and makes it clear that we must be cognizant of our thoughts. We must develop accurate thinking. Just as a reminder before I close out, I want to remind you of the importance, especially for accurate thinking, in the use of autosuggestion. And again, what autosuggestion is affirmations. You can use these affirmations. You can use affirmations to completely rewire your paradigm. You can change who you are if you say these affirmations. If you say affirmations to yourselves for a period of 21 days, you repeat the affirmation, you are going to implant in your subconscious the programming. You're going to have something new that, whether you remember it or not, you'll catch yourself. I've caught myself repeating affirmations in my head when I'm not even trying. They're just like playing in the background. So I know things are working internally for me because they're working externally. I can hear these affirmations being repeated in my head without me even trying to think of them. So I recommend that you embrace this concept of autosuggestion and begin to use positive affirmations, because if you don't, all the negative ones that your brain produces almost every second of every day, they're going to dominate your subconscious, and they're going to program you into negativity and failure. So with that, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I want to say thank you for tuning in, whether you're tuning in morning, afternoon, or night, in the United States or Africa or Pakistan or Bangladesh or England or wherever you're tuning in from. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate any comments. I would hope that you can log in for our next show. Our next broadcast is going to be tomorrow, and well, you can of course catch it on the replay, but that one's going to be on concentration. Okay. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.